Before we get in the video, please like, make sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications, go ahead and leave a comment below, and click on the How You Can Help, which brings up the Family Friendly Game website and gives you lots of ideas how you can help us. Thank you.
Hey everybody, Paul Berry, Family Friendly Game, and this is FFG Politics. And this one might be very sensitive for some people, so I'm going to warn you from the onset. It can have sensitive stuff in it. First and foremost, remember, be civil, be polite. Hey, we can disagree on things, but you don't have to be hateful, you don't have to be rude, you don't have to be nasty, okay? So, I want to have a conversation about BLM versus the DC Protestors. There's been a lot of this going on the day I'm recording this. I'm recording this on Saturday, January 9th, 2021. So, Joe Biden said that the BLM protesters would have been treated differently in Washington, D.C. than DC protesters were. And he was implying with his very hateful, divisive rhetoric that based on race, it would be treated worse. Now, the facts are the facts. The exact same things were used. Tear gas was used. Rubber bullets was used. Other non-lethal forms were used. Joe Biden is right, and Kamala Harris is right about one thing. BLM was treated differently by the media and by the politicians, okay? So, Joe Biden came out there and said, you know what? Don't call them protesters. That's horrible. Don't call them protesters. Instead, call them terrorists. That's what they are. We're going to call them terrorists. So he's going to redefine them as terrorists. However, on BLM, he's like, they're mostly peaceful. Well, guess what? During the DC protest, they were also mostly peaceful. The media tried to hide all the violence, tried to hide all the deaths from BLM protests, right? I mean, there were constant riots. Seattle, Portland, Detroit, other cities were burning, right? Minority businesses were being destroyed by these riots. They're hurting the people they claim they're trying to help, right? They damage them, ruins many of their lives. And you're going, what? Excuse me? You know, all these people that were murdered, all these people that were killed during those things, the media wanted to sit there and hide it and pretend and say, oh, they're mostly peaceful protesters. Well, guess what? In D.C., they were also mostly peaceful. Were they not? The supermajority were peaceful, right? The other thing is, BLM had gone public and said, hey, we're going to do everything we can to try to incite violence during the Trump speech, when there are a bunch of Trump supporters gathering. We're going to do everything we can to start violence. In fact, there was even a guy I saw on YouTube who admitted, there was a news story about this, he admitted he's part of BLM, he's in BLM leadership, and he went there and witnessed some of the violence. He was physically present in the crowd. So we know BLM was there during the DC protest. So the facts that bother me is when the media immediately said Trump protesters were violent. Trump supporters were violent. Well, you don't know the violent people were actually Trump supporters, do you? Have we actually done a deep dive on any of them? Because to my knowledge, none of that's been done yet. And it's funny because you look at the other standard. When it was BLM, they were like, oh, you know, we don't know for certain, you know, who they were. Maybe they're just people who caused trouble. Maybe they're just anarchists. Maybe, you know, maybe they weren't Antifa. Maybe they're something else. We don't know, right? But the media never bothered to even research them. Other media outlets, I'm talking about the lying liberal media. Other media outlets went there and did deep dives and also presented video, and some of them got in trouble on like YouTube for showing video of the violence because they were trying to hide that and not have that narrative going. They're like, oh, we don't want this narrative. Well, it's the truth. The truth is not a narrative. And I'm so sick and tired of people who are like, oh, it's a narrative. No, it's not a narrative. It's the truth. The truth is the truth. And I'm so sick and tired of this, you know, half-truths and everything. Like I said, the politicians were supportive of BLM, right? They were supportive of all the rioting, the looting, the violence. They're all, but when it's in their back door, oh no, can't have that. And then they, you know, went ballistic, and the lying liberal media went like crazy covering this story. Like I would just cover it, 24/7, 365, and immediately attacking Trump, attacking anyone who supports Trump, attacking Republicans who wouldn't condemn the DC protesters, even though the media didn't do the same thing with the BLM riots, would they? No. So Biden and Kamala Harris are correct. BLM was treated differently. They were treated better. They were given better treatment than the DC protesters. So that's what you're seeing, and that's what all this stuff with the social media outlets, banning Trump and blocking Trump and suspending Trump for asking for peace. That's beyond ridiculous. They are so mentally unhinged that they have to have their one story. And I'm sure, we'll probably face some persecution for this video because we're telling the truth. And if some people don't like it, I'm sorry you don't like the truth. But that's what it is. That's what's really happening. You can sit there and be like, we're treated so much worse. And in reality, the media treats you better. The politicians treat you better. Really? A couple of YouTubers speak out. Oh, that's horrible. Have to go cancel them. Cancel culture comes after them. Really? Come on. So I'm kind of like I said, I'm kind of sick and tired of this happening. I really despised the months of violence that happened from BLM in the summer of 2020 and the fall. I was just disgusted by it. And it was just, to me, it was repugnant and repulsive. And I don't appreciate the violence that happened in DC either. With that said, we need to actually find out who was being violent, because it is theoretically possible that a bunch of BLM people were the ones actually being violent, pretending to be Trump supporters, trying to make Trump supporters look bad. Right? I mean, that's kind of where we're at. We need the real facts, and I have a bad feeling the lying liberal media won't give it to us. They'll probably hide it. Once they hid all the violence from BLM protests, they tried to hide all that. So what do you think they're going to do with this? If the facts come out, there was a bunch of BLM people doing it, they'll just sweep it under the rug because the swamp of corruption is coming back into power in DC. It's where we are. So that's all my thoughts on BLM versus the DC protesters. I thank everyone for watching. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Remember, keep it polite, keep it civil. See ya!